Would I be the a-hole if I don't let my parents move into my house after they spent years telling me I'd never make it on my own? I, 29 female, bought my first home last year after years of grinding and sacrificing. I worked 2 jobs, cut back on almost everything, and saved aggressively to make it happen. It was a huge milestone for me, especially because of the way I grew up. My parents always told me I was too lazy and not smart enough to ever make it on my own. They said I'd either live with them forever or bounce from rental to rental because I didn't have the discipline to build stability. When I announced that I'd bought a house, they didn't congratulate me. They literally laughed and said, "We'll see how long that lasts." Their words hurt, but I used them as fuel. Buying this home was proof to myself that I could achieve the independence they always said I wasn't capable of. It's not huge, just a modest 2-bedroom place. I live here with my boyfriend, and we've been building a comfortable life together. Fast forward to now. My dad, 62, recently lost his job, and my mom, 60, never worked outside the home. They are deep in debt, behind on bills, and on the verge of losing their rental. They reached out to me recently, saying they need a place to stay temporarily until they figure things out. On paper, that sounds simple enough, but in reality it feels like a nightmare. For one, there's barely space. My boyfriend and I already fill the 2 bedrooms. Having my parents here would mean cramming 4 adults into a space that was never meant for it. Beyond the logistics, there's the emotional strain. My parents still treat me like I'm some kind of failure who doesn't know what she's doing. I can't imagine them moving in and immediately criticizing how I run my household, how I spend money, or how my boyfriend and I live. The idea of living under their roof-like behavior again, only this time in my house, makes me anxious. My siblings, however, see things differently. They keep saying it's my duty since I'm the one who's doing well now. They act like because I worked hard and managed to build something for myself, I'm automatically responsible for bailing our parents out. I love my family, but I can't help feeling resentful. Where was their support when I was struggling, saving, and constantly being torn down? Why is it on me now to shoulder the burden when I finally got to a stable place? I feel guilty because I don't want to see my parents homeless, but at the same time, I feel like letting them move in would destroy the peace and independence I fought so hard for. I've worked for years to get here, and I'm scared they'll drag me back into the same toxic dynamic I finally escaped. So, would I be the bad guy if I told them no and refused to let them move in, even if it means they'll have to figure something else out? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Why don't siblings put up parents if it's a child's duty? Sounds like the siblings are all in a similar plight. This is a crabs in a bucket situation. Absolutely. They don't sound the type to respect boundaries while they're there either. They will put a strain on your relationship with your boyfriend for sure, and will likely set you back in your financial status as they don't have a working plan to not be under your roof forever. Find them other resources. Call the Council on Aging. Figure out Section 8. Whatever you can do to force the issue of them living independent from you. And give yourself a huge pat on the back for learning to be disciplined enough to build a better life for yourself than what they instilled in you. Just tell them it wouldn't be to their high standards. Live your life in peace. Exactly. No is a complete sentence. And start transitioning to low or no contact. If you let them through the door, they will never leave. They have no exit plan. Dad's 60 plus with limited job prospects, and mom's never worked. They will treat you poorly, turn you into their caregiver, guilt you if you ask them to leave, sap all your resources feeding and taking care of them, and destroy your relationship with your partner who didn't sign up for this. There are no positives allowing them to stay with you. Tell them no and get therapy if your guilt feels overwhelming. That will be way better than setting yourself on fire to keep them warm. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for loudly correcting my mother-in-law when she told strangers I was too career-focused to give her grandchildren? We were out at a restaurant with my husband's family when something happened that left me completely shaken. My mother-in-law spotted some acquaintances at another table. Without hesitation, she waved them over and introduced me, not just by name, but as her career-obsessed daughter-in-law, who thinks work is more important than family. I froze. In that moment, I felt my face burn with embarrassment. These were complete strangers, and now their first impression of me was that I was some cold, heartless woman who only cared about climbing the corporate ladder. It stung even more because it wasn't true. Yes, I work hard, but family has always been a priority for me and my husband. The word slipped out before I could stop myself. I corrected her loudly, saying, "Actually, we've been trying for 2 years and have had 3 miscarriages, but thank you for sharing our private medical information with strangers." The entire table went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. My mother-in-law turned bright red, and her acquaintance awkwardly excused themselves. After the meal, she cornered me in the hallway, tears streaming down her face. She accused me of humiliating her and said she didn't know about our struggles. But the truth is, she's been making snide comments about my biological clock for years. She's asked invasive questions about when we're going to finally give her grandbabies, and has rolled her eyes whenever I mentioned my career. So even if she didn't know the details, she certainly knew enough to realize her comment was cruel. I was furious. For years I've bitten my tongue, brushed off her digs, and tried to stay polite. But in that moment, I just couldn't take it anymore. The shame of being reduced to a stereotype in front of strangers on top of years of her constant needling about my reproductive choices, something so personal and painful, was too much. My husband, however, thinks I went too far. He told me I should have pulled her aside privately and explained why her words hurt, instead of making a scene and embarrassing her in public. He says that no matter what she said, it wasn't worth putting her on the spot like that. But from my perspective, she made the choice to belittle me in public, so why should I be expected to protect her feelings in private? I don't feel sorry for her embarrassment. She didn't care about my feelings when she labeled me a career-obsessed woman who doesn't care about family. She didn't care about my pain when she made years of digs about my body and fertility. Why should I prioritize her dignity over my own? So I'm left wondering, am I the a-hole for snapping in public and not caring about her feelings when she never cared about mine? Oh, I thought publicly embarrassing each other was how we bonded. After all, you started out embarrassing me. No, not the a-hole. But you might want to come to some kind of firm agreement with her. Something along the lines of, if you choose to try to put me on the spot in front of people, you can be assured that we will have far less contact going forward. I don't appreciate you being so rude to me. And to your husband, well, she deliberately publicly shamed you. But he thinks you should be massively more courteous to her than she needs to be to you? Does he realize he's fine with his mother humiliating his wife? Is that where he wants to draw his line? Yeah, exactly. If mother-in-law sets the tone by putting OP on blast, she can't act shocked when it comes back around. And the husband really does need to rethink where he's drawing that line. Not the a-hole at all, fam. Mother-in-law crossed a major line. Nobody's got the right to air your personal stuff like that, family or not. You stood your ground and shamed her in the spot she put you in. Maybe she'll think twice before running her mouth next time. Don't let her tears fool you. She got a taste of her own medicine and didn't like it. Stay strong, mate. You did right. Yeah, mother-in-law wasn't ready for that same energy back. Some folks only cry foul once the tables turn. Next story. Am I the a-hole for putting up a free to a good home ad for myself on my social media? I'm 15 female. My parents told me they were divorcing a month ago. It sucks, but things have been really weird around the house for a long time, so it's kind of a relief that it was just divorce. They obviously hate each other and are trying not to let me know it, but like, they're not doing a good job. Anyway, I try to stay in my room as much as possible now, because there's just this weird vibe and they act annoyed whenever I'm around. I found out why last week. I went downstairs to get a snack and I heard them arguing about who was going to get custody of me, but like who has to take me. Neither one of them wants custody. I turned around and went back to my room because I didn't want to hear the rest of the argument, and also because that really hurts and I didn't want to cry in the hallway. I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I kept thinking about how they both have basically ignored me or seemed annoyed with me for the last few months, and how they must really hate me to be mad at each other over who has to take me after the divorce. Friday, I was really upset about it, and I got on my social and wrote an ad for myself, kind of like, "Teenage girl free to a good home. We're divorcing and need to rehome our teenager, as neither of us want her anymore. She doesn't eat much and does laundry." I was trying to make it funny so maybe it wouldn't suck as much. It caused a small crap storm because it got back to other family members and some of my friends' parents who were worried about me and called to find out what was going on and whether I was okay. My parents grounded me and told me that I upset everyone for no reason and I should know better than to post things like that. They said of course they love me. Things are tough right now. But I heard what they said. I don't know. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Are you sure they were arguing because neither wanted you or because they were objectively talking about whose house or home would be better and it just came across as, "I don't care about her nor want her. You should take her," to a person that listened into a small part of the conversation? I'm sure. My mom straight up said, "I'm tired of being responsible all the time. I never wanted kids. You wanted kids. You take her." My dad said that he's too busy with work and I'll just be in the way basically. Not the a-hole. As the adults, they need to know when and where to have private conversations. Sorry your parents are morons and that you had to hear it. Hopefully they really didn't mean it. Unfortunately, what you heard may stay with you for a long time. I remember convos I had 30 years ago. What's sad is they grounded you without seeming to ask the question why you did what you did. Try to talk to them about what you heard and what you need. Divorces are messy. That's no excuse for them to spew their mess on others. It's tough for them. They need to remember their responsibility to you. Good luck. This is so true. I still remember some of the stupidest things. Well, I guess they should have been considered stupid, but obviously they cut me at the time and stayed with me for many years. At any rate, I read a lot of sad stories on here, but I believe this is the first time I started tearing up. Partly because I really feel for OP, but also because I can imagine myself saying something similar in that situation. Because, unlike a lot of women who fear that empty nest, I was just tired of it all by the time my kids were teenagers. I had given so much and was ready for some me time. Didn't mean I didn't love them. But even so, while I might have had some fleeting thought of giving up custody had we divorced, I could never do that, and certainly wouldn't have expressed it. I hope you have someone who you can turn to who will listen and give you sanctuary. Wish I could give you a big hug. Last story. Am I the a-hole for being cold and uncaring to my autistic sister because I know autism isn't the reason she's awful to be around? I, 16 male, have a sister, 14 female, who's autistic. She was diagnosed at 3 years old, and our parents have ignored 90% of the professional advice they were given. They also used her diagnosis to excuse all the bad stuff she does. And when kids don't want to be her friend or parents don't want her around their kids, they call them ableist and say it's discrimination against her for being disabled. She's allowed to throw food, steal food off other people's plates, disrupt dinner, and eat dessert before actual dinner. And when those things aren't allowed, she throws tantrums and screams and kicks and acts like a toddler. Sometimes we stay with our aunt or our grandparents and she acts like that. One time she spat chewed food into Grandma's mouth because Grandma was saying she couldn't take food off my plate. Another time she spat at me for stopping her, and then she threw her mashed potatoes at Grandpa because he told her to stop. Both times, Mom and Dad were angry at me and my grandparents for not going along with what she wanted because she's autistic. If we're shopping and she wants to wander, I'm expected to follow her and reach for stuff for her. But she doesn't have to ask. She can just tell me to do it. And if I say no, she tells our parents and they get mad at me. My sister has stomped on my foot for not reaching for the stuff she wanted. She does get overstimulated sometimes, and I get being quieter when that happens and letting her unwind. But sometimes she goes into a complete meltdown and can hit and break things. Mom let her play on my Switch during lockdown while I had schoolwork, and she overstimulated herself and broke it. Then Mom got mad at me because I said someone needed to replace it and stop her from using my stuff in the future. My sister got mad at me for keeping her from other stuff I had, and she ran to mom and dad to use it. She doesn't get invited to birthday parties anymore because she used to hate waiting for kids to open their gifts, and she'd start opening them herself. Then she'd get mad if she couldn't take home the stuff she liked. Or there were parties with bounce houses where she wanted the bounce house to herself because she didn't want other kids touching her. And she tried to push or bounce other kids out of the bounce house. She put her hands all over food at birthday parties too, and slobbered over an entire pizza at one because she didn't want to share it with others. She has an IEP for school, but our parents expect that to be a get-out-of-jail-free card for her. They think it lets her get away with doing whatever the heck she wants, and everyone has to just deal with it. In school, she has no friends, and my parents are mad because we have lunch at the same time, and we're in the same school again, and I refuse to eat lunch with her or check in on her. At home, I don't talk to her, and if she talks to me, I'm pretty rude to her face. She's always rude, violent, and mean to me, so I won't be anything but cold back. I'm past the point where I care about her feelings or what she needs. If she was arrested tomorrow for hitting someone, I'd be happy and celebrate. My parents told me I should be nicer to my sister, and they complain about how cold and uncaring I am toward her. She was upset last Tuesday because someone called her names, and I said nothing to her. When she cried, I actually rolled my eyes because she says mean things all the time, but autism is meant to be an excuse for it. One of my friends is autistic, and there are 2 other students in my grade who have autism, and I have known them since kindergarten. They all have differences, but nothing like her. At least not all the time. It's worked on. They get better at talking to people and apologize if they hurt someone. My sister never does. My parents don't care about that though, and they think I'm the a-hole. My sister does too, because she hates that I refuse to hug her when she asks now, and I don't say I love you or anything nice to her. Am I the a-hole? Your parents are setting her up to fail, and you will be going low contact. That's the future. Hope your parents realize that moving forward in 2 years' time, your sister will have less support. I'd also tell them to come up with a plan in the event of their deaths, because you will not be looking after her. Low contact won't be good enough. I'll be removing myself so far from them that they'll never see or hear from me again. Bide your time. Have a plan and get through. If you're thinking college, you may need their support. Use it for what it's worth. Be kind to yourself. You'll be okay. Tough work ahead. You can do it. They won't support me through college. I haven't earned it according to them.